Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down Michael Saylor's recent keynote, 21 Ways to Wealth. Now, our goal here isn't to just list off his points, but to actually structure them into a coherent, strategic framework. This should help you really get to the core of his perspective on Bitcoin and building wealth. Let's dive in. So right off the bat, Saylor sets an absolutely massive stage. He's making it crystal clear that this message isn't for the big institutions or the Wall Street pros. No, he's framing this as a strategy for every single person, every family, and every small business out there. This really establishes the personal, universal lens he wants you to see everything through. Okay, before we get into any of the specific ways or actions, we have to start where he starts. It's so crucial to understand that his entire framework, everything he talks about, is built on top of one single foundational belief. This isn't just about an investment, it's about buying into a whole philosophy about what Bitcoin actually is. He has a name for it: perfected capital. The core idea is that Bitcoin isn't just another asset. He sees it as something fundamentally different. It's programmable, it can't be corrupted, and it's universally desirable. He makes the case that because of these unique qualities, every intelligent person, every competing business, and yep, even every AI is eventually going to want a piece of it. This is the logic that leads him to suggest Bitcoin could one day be worth half of everything. So let's say you accept that core philosophy. What's next? Well, according to Saylor, just understanding the idea isn't nearly enough. He argues that you have to pair that understanding with a very specific mindset, made up of 3 mental pillars, if you're ever going to act on the opportunity. Let's take a look at what they are. It really boils down to 3 things: clarity, conviction, and courage. Clarity is just seeing and accepting that perfect capital idea we just talked about. Conviction is the next step. It's the belief that Bitcoin is specifically engineered to outperform everything else, whether that's stocks, real estate, or gold. And finally, there's courage, which is having the guts to take what he calls intelligent monetary risk and actually do something about it. To really explain what he means by courage, he uses this powerful fire metaphor. He says the fearful will run from the fire and the foolish will just play around with it. But the faithful, they feed the flame. Now, in practical terms, what does that mean? It means actively converting your other assets, your cash, your bonds, your property, into Bitcoin. It's about going all in, not just treating it like some curious little side bet. All right, so with that philosophy and mindset locked in, the framework starts to get really practical. We're shifting from the why to the how. We're going to look at the actual tools and structures Saylor says you should be using. And he starts with what he thinks is the single most powerful tool available to literally everyone right now. What's pretty remarkable here is his insistence on using artificial intelligence as the very first step. He's not just saying AI is a helpful tool, he's framing it as your personal gateway to the collective knowledge of every expert who has ever lived. His advice is pretty direct. Before you talk to anyone else, you empower yourself by consulting the AI. And this is the key. In his view, AI is the great equalizer. It allows the average person to do things that used to be reserved for the super rich, like designing complex legal structures, dynasty trusts, or corporate wrappers. Suddenly, that level of sophistication is accessible to you and me. Building on that idea, he lays out this really clear hierarchy of financial power. His argument is that we should all be using these newly accessible corporate structures to climb this pyramid. And why? Because every step you take up this ladder, from an individual to a family to a business, you unlock more and more powerful tools for raising capital. He calls it the most powerful wealth creation engine on Earth. So we have the mindset and we have the tools. The next piece of the puzzle is execution. This part of the framework gets into the specific actions you need to take, and, just as importantly, the personal behaviors you need to adopt to see this strategy through for the long haul. The very first action he calls for is extreme focus. He makes this really stark comparison. On one hand, you could try to launch a new product or service, which he claims has about a 90% chance of failing within 5 years. On the other hand, he argues that a financial strategy of simply holding Bitcoin on your balance sheet has a 90% chance of success in that same timeframe. His point is, why not focus your energy on the strategy with the higher probability of winning? He brings this idea to life with an anecdote he calls the billionaire dentist. Imagine 2 dentists. The first one takes her profits each year and invests them. It's a slow, steady path. But the second dentist incorporates her practice, sells a piece of the company to investors, takes on some debt, and deploys a massive amount of capital all at once. It's a powerful illustration of how using corporate tools can just exponentially accelerate the entire process. But Saylor is very clear that a financial strategy, no matter how brilliant, is not enough on its own. It has to be supported by disciplined personal behavior. This means getting your whole family on board and cooperating. It means being civil and not wasting energy on pointless fights. It's about clear communication to build trust, unwavering commitment to the plan, and just consistent, relentless, laser-like execution day in and day out. And that brings us to the final piece of the framework, the ultimate purpose. Saylor's vision actually goes beyond just accumulating wealth for yourself. He outlines what he believes is the real end goal of this entire journey. He doesn't see it as an end point, but as the start of a virtuous cycle. Your success allows you to become an advocate, inspiring other people. It also allows you to be generous, sharing security and hope with those around you. And both of those things, in turn, help strengthen the entire network, which then reinforces your own success and everyone else's. It's this powerful, positive feedback loop. So when you step back and look at all these pieces together, the crucial point becomes really clear. This isn't just a random list of 21 tips. It's a complete all-in strategy. It integrates a very specific belief system about Bitcoin as perfected capital with a modern toolkit led by AI and a disciplined code of personal conduct, all working together toward a very specific purpose. And what's fascinating is how Saylor closes his speech. After laying out this massive, maximalist, multi-decade grand strategy, he doesn't end with his own words. He ends with this famously quiet, understated quote from Satoshi Nakamoto. He just leaves the audience with that simple, almost humble thought to reflect on.